Benefactor underwriting for this broadcast has been provided by a grant from Republic Bank. The power of red is back. Major underwriting support for this broadcast has been provided by grants from New York Community Bank, M&T Bank, Perfect Building Maintenance, Customers Bank, Collins Building Services, Marks Paneth. Additional underwriting support has been provided by grants from AmTrust Title, Bank of America, Capital One Bank, Douglaston Development Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handro Properties LLC, Handler Real Estate Organization, Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, John Catsimatidis Red Apple Group, New Banks, Meridian Capital Group, Ocean First Bank, RPW Group, TD Bank, the One Stop Property Group, and these friends. Spring 2022. No more variants, we hope. What's going on today? How's business? How was business last year? So I have assembled today three young guys, one who's 26, one who's 33, and one who's 37, to tell me their thoughts of the challenges and the opportunities of working during the pandemic. My guests include our banker over here, the Senior Vice President and Regional Head for Republic Bank, Dan Marcus. Our owner of office buildings and leasing tenant responsibilities, Daryl Handler, Executive Vice President of Handler Properties and Handler Real Estate Services. And last but not least, our Floridian, who flew up purposely to be here, Scott Miller, who's Vice President at Meridian Capital. Since you're the youngest and you came up here, you changed jobs right at the beginning of the pandemic. Tell us a little bit about that and the challenges and the opportunities that you've seen.
Sure. So rewind probably just over 24 months ago, I was working in the retail leasing space on the Upper East Side and down in Soho. And clearly, when the world changed, I needed to make a pivot and had a good relationship with a few of the guys at Meridian, and decided that was kind of more the aspect of the business that I wanted to be in.
So how do you transition, because we have transitioning over here on both Dan and Daryl, how do you transition from basically a retail leasing broker to a mortgage broker? And I mean, you had a different type of clientele, totally different business.
It's a good question. I leveraged my relationships that I made while I was in leasing, and then prior to that when I was in new development marketing consulting. So I had fostered some strong relationships directly out of college. And, Michael, at the end of the day, we're in the people business, and we deal with real assets that you can see, assets that you can experience, and assets that you can visit. So for me, kind of being boots on the ground, out and about, is what I really enjoyed.
So now we have another person who transitioned during the pandemic. I mean, Dan, you started as an accountant originally.
I did. I joke that I'm a reformed accountant. I started with Marks Paneth and then went back to grad school, got my MBA, and got into banking with Valley Bank before joining Republic right about 2 years ago. We were actually having one of the last interviews the Thursday of the Big East tournament, which is this week, and then I was going to move on my way. We put pencils down and got through the first round of PPP, but then I joined Republic in July of 2020, right in the midst of the pandemic, and it was certainly an experience. The city was still virtually completely shut down, and it's been a good path here with the team.
But you changed banks during the period of time, and you went to a smaller bank. I mean, even though the bank was created by, built up by Vernon Hill, who is the man behind Commerce. I mean, here you go out and try to develop a team. How do you build the team, and
We're
how do you
very-
get new clients?
We're very fortunate that our brand is extremely unique, all built on customer service, and Vernon has built banking empires in the past. And fortunately, we've been able to bring in the right people who are excited by this, who want to get out there, show up to work every day, and drive new business and build our bank.
So how do you build a new client? Okay, I'll give you a good example.
Sure.
I have a dynamic guy over here who's 33 years of age, who is ownership of buildings and also a tenant representative in buildings, okay? How do you go out and pursue him, or even pursue Scott?
Our strongest source of new business is personal direct referrals from someone you've done business with who said, oh, I had a great experience with Dan and his lender. They handled a difficult transaction and got the deal done. I want to be working with them again. Daryl, why don't you go talk to Dan? Transversely, Scott, if you had a hard, challenging project that we were able to get done for you, then the next time another deal, we would be a better fit for you. So word of mouth, direct relationships, and expanding our business through the power of Red and our commitment to customer service.
Okay. So now let's talk about you. You really got caught at a difficult time. People didn't go to the office. People didn't want to pay rent. What happened 24 months ago?
Yeah, well, we certainly like a good challenge, but it was a very wild experience, really surreal in a lot of ways. I live in the city, so we never stopped going into the office because we were all hands on deck trying to figure out which way was up. You would walk or bike through Herald Square or Times Square. You wouldn't see a person, you wouldn't see a car. It was really sort of out of a movie. We did a really great job of getting ahead of the issue when we saw sort of signs of sort of a large macro level complication like this, and we're really proud of that, our ability or our action or take to action, calling our tenants, reaching out to the people in the portfolio and working with them really early on. I think it really helped us out along the way, but we were spending countless hours day in and day out working with our tenant base, working about rent referral deals, things of that nature. And we feel that in the long run, and even we're feeling it now, that it's paid off on a relationship level. Building stronger bonds between landlord and tenant when it comes time to renewals or any other small issues between now and then. But I can't unsee the things I saw. I can't, the experience it was a tremendous experience in education and crisis management.
So here's a question for all three of you. Have people return? What percentage of people are working in the buildings, and how many days a week? I'd like from your different perception.
Our portfolio is full of mostly entrepreneurial tenants. We have a couple of national and international businesses, but the large majority of it is entrepreneurs, and we're seeing a lot of people, and we have for a long time, come back to the office. Now, when we have a building that's 21 stories. Most days, all 21 floors are open. I can't tell you that they're full of tenants, but they all have people there at least at least 5 days a week, which is very encouraging. I think it's a good sign going forward, and we've seen over the last even 6 weeks a large uptick in bodies back in the buildings.
We're
Okay.
seeing small and middle market businesses truly returning or have already returned to their offices or places of work. The larger corporate behemoths are certainly not back with the same vigor as smaller businesses are, but we're seeing improvements with commuting, office vacant or lack of vacancy. So
With regard to that, I know you handle a number of law firms and accounting firms. A number of them have advised me that the people haven't returned to work. They're not working 5 days a week from the office. If they're working 2 to 3 days, it's a heavy amount.
professional service firms have been able to work remotely. Audit teams have been going out to their clients and working in the field and reporting back to the office for 20 plus years or forever. So they were set up to accomplish this, but we still see the mentorship is not there when half the team is remote or not there only 1 or 2 days a week. So
How do you see it in Meridian? How do you see it in Florida and New York when you're in the transition?
So there's a real dichotomy between New York and Florida. If you guys were to come down to Florida right now, you would be hard pressed to get a dinner reservation. The retail is packed, and it seems like Florida has kind of put everything aside and is, moving forward perhaps at a quicker pace than other metropolitans across the U.S. With regards to Meridian, I mean, we think it's paramount to be in the office. I think you lose collaboration and work culture when you're working behind a virtual screen. And I always say, when we're dealing with real assets and we need to be boots on the ground, working virtually behind a screen is a short-term fix, but not a long-term solution. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think that, I think about this often, thank God work from home worked as well as it did, given the technology that we have at our disposal. If this happened 30 years ago, or whenever pre-social media, computers, pre-Zoom, I think there would be a different story. I think there'd be a lot of economic challenges, but I think a lot of people are grateful that it worked as well.
We're seeing, especially there's kind of a migration right now up from Miami-Dade, even up from Broward into West Palm Beach. We're seeing a lot of new ground-up office product coming.
Yeah.
And you saw during the pandemic, obviously, a lot of the financial services firms came down, and there's a real demand to kind of be in Palm Beach right now.
Sure.
Which, I don't blame everybody. It's a great spot to be.
What do you see as the best opportunities today? As I said, we're 24 months over here. Things are getting better. What do you see as a banker to get new opportunities?
For us to get new opportunities, we're relying on that customer service model, relationships. We're finding that the creams has risen to the top, so companies with strong balance sheets are able to weather an insurance increase or take a competitor's key staff and not have to buy their entire business. Even at a small business level of a contractor or a service provider with $30–40 million in revenue, they're able to weather the storm a lot better than a less strong player. So we're seeing more of the cream rise to the top across the market.
Darryl, I'm a tenant today. I want to, and I'm going to play double.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a tenant looking at perhaps your buildings,
Yep.
okay, some of the Handler real estate properties. And then I'm also saying, you're one alternative. Find me some other properties on your leasing hat.
Yeah.
What are the deals like? What's the concession?
Yep.
How long are the periods? Are people getting different type of leases? Are there percentage rents in the retail leases? What are you seeing?
Yeah, so we're seeing a lot more short-term deals more than ever. I mean, short-term before the pandemic was a 3+ year deal. Now it's a 1–2 year deal. We're seeing a lot more of those across the board, not just in the portfolio. However, we've done a lot of long-term leasing. I think tenants who have sort of the vision for the future see that if they can lock in for the next 7 to 10 years at today's rates, they're going to be happy with those numbers for a long time. In the portfolio, we've taken the opportunity that we saw was to differentiate ourselves, through operations and improvements to the building. We really like to think about things that no one else is doing in the neighborhood that we want to, capitalize on. And I think our leasing velocity has shown that that's been a good decision. From just an overall concession and market sort of rates perspective, it's never been a better time to be a tenant in the market. Rents are still at a discount, and concessions are up almost double to what they used to be. And concessions were high before the pandemic to begin with. So we're finding that our forward-thinking tenants and clients are really looking to sort of take advantage of what's going on and lock in for the long period of time.
What about you retail tenants in your building?
We don't have a huge retail exposure.
No, but you have 7th Avenue as
Yep.
one exposure, and then you have a couple of properties, between 7th and 8th.
Yeah. We're proud to say that we haven't lost a retail tenant since the beginning of the pandemic. We've worked with everybody, but it seems to be coming back strong.
How do you see, you're still in touch with many of your retail friends from New York. How are they saying the market?
I think we're all long New York City retail, simply based off of the fact that people want to be here. This is the world's capital for whether it be finance, business, fashion, entertainment, shopping, the arts. People want to be here. So I think there's a pent-up demand to kind of get out of the house and, go walk up Madison Avenue, go walk in Soho, go walk in Meatpacking. So I think everybody is kind of correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've seen kind of a bottom out, and we're on an
Oh,
upward,
absolutely.
upward
100%.
trajectory.
I think we're
definitely.
very far from the bottom.
And from the multifamily side on, we talk about concessions, we're seeing bidding wars now for multifamily in the city. So it's velocity and numbers right now that are, we couldn't imagine 3 years ago. So I think to be a landlord right now on the multifamily side is, it's a landlord market.
If you have a free market tenant, only if you have a free market
Right.
tenant. Otherwise, you're under the restrictions of the state and the governmental rules. I think one area which I've discussed numerous times on the show, and it specifically relates to some of your buildings, people are worried about the safety of walking around Manhattan.
It's been a challenging path through the pandemic, but we've seen a tremendous amount of improvement, especially as folks come back to the city, back to work. We're seeing a lot of that subside.
I think that every day has been better than
Yes.
last. I think, we're very happy with where things are looking.
So you live and work part-time in Long Island. You live full-time over there. What do you see happening in the Long Island market? Are we seeing more people renting? Are people leaving the city like they did before in the pandemic? What are you seeing on
A
that?
lot of the flight from the city was compressed into a short period of time. So if folks starting families, having children, were going to move out of the city over the next 5 years, they all tried to move out in that first year. So housing prices have skyrocketed, very limited demand. We have seen great economic activity out there. Office leasing, it's not perfect, but in the right spots, it has improved. And we're seeing a good amount of activity all throughout the region. We're very excited to continue our expansion and have a big dent on Long Island.
What about the traffic these days? The traffic getting into the city, and I've seen it with the garages and everything else. It's really it's becoming very difficult to drive in.
It is, yes. Most days I'm taking the railroad. Certain evenings when I'm staying in for dinner, I'll drive in to have the car going home. But traffic is very strong no matter where you go. Even throughout the city, getting around town is not the same
I
as
think
it was.
it's probably
2-3
worse
years.
than it was.
Certainly.
Because of the less people on the
The railroads,
transit.
yeah.
I got myself a car for the first time since moving into the city after college
Right.
during the pandemic, and I used to joke you could park sideways down Fifth Avenue and it wouldn't be a problem. But now, there's cars everywhere. There's parking spots are full. The Midtown Tunnel's packed. It's
From a traffic standpoint, I was just on Mulberry and Spring 2 nights ago, and it felt normal.
yeah.
People walking around.
Socially, New York City feels very similar.
It was fun.
I need a reservation for any lunch that I'm having Monday through Friday. Fridays are quieter,
Right.
certainly, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you really need a reservation
Oh
to go
yeah.
out to lunch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All the business districts seem like they're fully back with this. It's really good to see.
You're involved with a number of new projects on residential development. So have you been seeing a lot of it, activity in New York and around the country?
The capital markets right now, especially for ground-up multifamily, is booming. We're doing a few deals right now in the southern Brooklyn neighborhoods, Sheepshead Bay, Brighton Beach. And the reason why I think these are such attractive neighborhoods is that historically they're non-transient, so individuals born there tend to stay there, and the supply of new housing stock is limited. In addition, we're also seeing a lot of activity on the multifamily side down in South Florida, but cap rates have compressed down there as well. So it's not so much of a bargain anymore to buy in South Florida. So people are kind of going up the counties more onto like the Space Coast, and
Sure.
but yeah, rates have definitely compressed down there. But we've seen a tremendous amount of activity, not just in multifamily, but in retail and some aspects hospitality in New York City.
Let's bring up the subject of hospitality in New York City. What's your thoughts about the conversion of hotels to residential, and then also for all of you, the conversion of hotels to residential, and the office buildings, some of the C and D office buildings to residential?
This is strictly my opinion. I don't know. I don't have any formal education in this, but I think it's an interesting business model. If the zoning works per the the land for the hotels, I think that it's been proven that it's an easy transition from just a construction and timing perspective to convert a hotel into a multifamily property in many ways. And it's an interesting business plan. I think I'm surprised it hasn't happened more often yet, but it seems to me that there are people in the hotels now in our area. I mean, there's a brand new project, the Margaritaville, right across the street from our office, and we're marveled by how busy it is every day. The restaurants, the bars, the rooms seem to be full. From the office perspective, you haven't seen it yet. Obviously there's physical things that make it challenging, how deep the floor plates are as compared to where the elevators are. I think it's very capital intensive, so I would be surprised if that becomes a trend, but
You see, I did a class last week for Yeshiva University, the Sim School of Business, and I had Joseph Moynihan, and we were talking about, with the students, we were talking about the tape measure. So when you're in an office building, you charge for the loss factor.
right,
Okay, so 100 feet, you're paying for 130 feet.
right.
Okay, you're paying because of the loss factor for the elevators and the shafts and the window and all this. Residential, you don't pay for that.
For sure.
Okay, so you don't have the 130. So there's a difference in the rental factor on that. When you convert a office building to residential, so you have the loss factor as one, and then you don't have the improvements. A hotel has the sprinklers. A 70-year-old office building does not have the
Right,
sprinklers
right.
over there.
That's a good point.
So the sprinklers, the means of egress, and all the other things cause a little difficulty. With regard to hospitality, how does the bank look at the hospitality market?
Everything on a case-by-case basis. We're happy to dig in and take a look at the right project for the right individual. We do have a number of strong relationships with hospitality teams all up and down our region.
Now, you have some hospitality tenants, retail tenants, right?
We have 2 restaurants in the portfolio. I don't know about their numbers. One has recently rebranded, and I think that's been going very well for them to be a more modern sort of eatery. And the other one is still, I would say it's transportation oriented and traffic oriented in a really high trafficked area. You have to walk by it every day to get to Port Authority or Penn Station. And I think they're doing very well. I think they're very happy there.
Scott brought out Brighton Beach and Sheepshead Bay, which is an area, the negative of those areas is it's a long commute. It's like the Coney Island. It's an hour commute on the subway over there. What's your thoughts about opportunities in the other boroughs? Okay, there are certain new developments taking place in Staten Island. The Bronx is booming in other areas. What's your thoughts about those markets?
There's a lot out there. It's whether Brooklyn had a further rejuvenation with Manhattan struggling through COVID, or more industrial space being able to pop up in Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx. There's just a lot of development, and it's nice to see the city coming back in a broad scape.
I think it's hard to find deals right now. I mean, especially along the Brooklyn waterfront, whether it be Williamsburg, Greenpoint, which we've seen a massive boom, Long Island City. So things are clearly, right now, I think, moving out more east.
I mean, the Gowanus, they have under development and plan close to 6,000 new residential apartments.
Yeah, Gowanus is really cool. I mean, it's sandwiched between really 2 historically amazing neighborhoods. So I think it's primed for success.
That's under the new mandatory inclusionary housing bonus within Gowanus.
No, the Gowanus is doing well. Any thoughts about Harlem?
We're seeing a lot of activity all throughout the city, working with a number of not-for-profits that serve the community up there, and look to continue to work up there in that community.
Are you seeing any life science, more medical companies coming here?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a hot topic. It's a sort of a punch point that you're seeing a lot of, whether it's on the west side, the water on the west side near Jersey, on the Manhattan side, but or Long Island City. You're seeing a lot of these new developments that are really geared towards that, and I think that's a really interesting new industry to enter the market. 20 years ago, when we were all the city was just financial services. Now it's a very diverse, set of industries here, and I think that's a great one to add to the mix.
So where do you see, we're concluding pretty much, where do you see the opportunities over the next 6 months or the next year for the bank?
Relying on building new relationships and getting our word out as we expand all throughout Metro New York. We've got a great lending team of almost 10 lenders at this point that's grown from 3 by the time I walked through the door. So we're seeing opportunities with all 4 forms of real estate, C&I business, lines of credit, term loans, acquisitions. We're very fortunate that the economy is certainly rearing back, and happy to kind of fuel some of that on the ground in New York.
Darryl, quick, what's your thoughts?
You know, we want to continue to pride ourselves on being, you know, hands-on operators and improve the buildings to keep up with the times. And from the leasing perspective, we just continue to be outside the box thinkers in terms of marketing, social media, and just differentiate ourselves by just being, you know, who we've always been, and just, you know, kind of continue to be outside the box thinkers.
Floridian.
We follow our clients. I'm bullish on you know, on our industry, even with what's going on right now.
Amen.
Okay. As I look at my crystal balls, they are all shiny. So I think that the world is getting better. It's going to improve. And I think with these 3 dynamic guys, their life is only going to improve. I'd like to thank Dan, Darryl, and Scott, and I'll see you next week.